PowerBoat Television is brought to you by Yamaha, revs your heart. Ford F-Series, smart, tough, capable. And Cruisers Yachts, manufacturing world-class boats. Fall boating can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, the colors are gorgeous and the anchorages are quiet. On the other hand, the weather can be less predictable and temperatures, especially if you head north, can drop to the point where you're packing mitts and a toque before you're packing sunscreen. Fortunately, Jeanneau has the perfect solution, and our friends at Central Marine have loaned us a sweet NC 795 Legend for this year's fall trip. NC stands for New Concept and represents a European design line of boats ranging from 21 to 46 feet in length, all with one thing in common: hardtop enclosures and real glass windows. This fall, overnight lows in Parry Sound were expected to drop into the single digits. So, a proper enclosure and diesel heater should really add a level of comfort to our fall trip. There are a few reasons we decided to head to Parry Sound. One, I haven't had a chance to get up there yet this summer. Two, there is a ton to explore in the 30,000 island region. And three, the colors this time of year should be spectacular. Trailering, you'll need a place to launch, and there are two great spots on the northeast side of Parry Sound Harbor, where the Seguin River empties into the bay. The public ramp at the bottom of Champagne Street has brand new docks and a large staging area. If you want more secure parking, give Kelly a ring at Parry Sound Marine to arrange a spot to stash your truck and trailer. We needed fuel, so we stopped by for a quick chat.
We're located right downtown Parry Sound, right underneath the train trestle, which is basically how we get identified by most people. We're open all summer long. We start April the 1st, and we close generally around the start of December. We have 295 slips available, and we can store in the winter up to about 350 boats. We can take generally from 13, 14-foot boats up to around 32 or 33. We have washrooms inside, gas. People come here because when they fill up, they get a free pump out, so people like that as well. We have a marine store. We're a Mercruiser dealer, and we have certified mechanics to fix all makes of boats.
Henry Wolsey Bayfield was appointed the Admiralty Surveyor for North America in 1817. In 1820, while surveying Georgian Bay, he named the well-protected harbor at the mouth of the Seguin River Parry Sound, after Sir William Edward Parry, the famed explorer of the Northwest Arctic Passage. Parry Sound is definitely a hotspot for fall sightseeing by land, sea, and air. The Island Queen runs until Thanksgiving in October, as does Georgian Bay Airways. But we did not expect to see Ponant's 430-foot Le Champlain in the harbor on a scheduled stop from Milwaukee to Toronto. Talk about traveling in style. When we finally left Parry Sound, we were met with some less than ideal weather conditions. As soon as we left the protection of the harbor, we were exposed to weather one might expect this late in the season, which is probably why we were one of the only boats out on the water.
There goes my nice clean windshield. Wow.
Georgian Bay. Oy, ay, 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 ay.
Well, this is day one. We just arrived. We put the boat in. It's blowing like crazy, gusting to 50K. The rollers in the bay, just in this Parry Island Bay, are 4 or 5 foot. So small craft warning for sure. If we were an express cruiser right now, we'd be getting soaked. I'd have full wet weather gear on and I'd be freezing cold. But in this little 25-footer, we're bone dry, putting through 4.5 footers. Here comes a big one. We've got waves kind of crashing over the bow. We're only doing about 10 miles an hour. We've only been in the boat for 10 or 15 minutes and already I'm just blown away. Like, we're in some pretty serious waves. I don't know if I'd be really happy even in the 37. So waves are actually coming over the bow a little bit, and we're using the windshield wipers to see, so they've already come in really handy. It wasn't 5 minutes ago I was dusting off the windshield and cleaning it. Well, that was kind of a waste of time because it's just soaked now. But we are dry. If I've got the wind just coming off the port side, I close the port window, open up the starboard window, and we're dry, but we got airflow to keep everything clear. And if you really had to batten it down, you might need a fan to clear the windshield. But what is so cool is that you don't have to stop boating. It's not that warm out, 16 degrees. And it's not stopping us at all. In fact, I'm pretty warm. As you can see, riding around in our golf shirts. This is amazing.
Knowing the weather would clear later this evening, we decided to head back to Parry Sound to wait it out. We could have easily pushed on, but we weren't doing the Jeanneau or our equipment any favors in these conditions. This was also a perfect opportunity to take a closer look at the little NC, which we will dive into later in the show. We have a ton more filming to do and have a slip reserved at Big Sun Marina tonight. With the sun getting low, I thought we'd catch a familiar sunset from the marina's elevated lookout. From mid-April to pretty much the end of August, on a clear night, you can catch spectacular sunsets from up here. But in October, I forgot. The sun sets almost 30 degrees further south. So for now, Big Sound Marina will be our home base until the crazy October winds die down. Later in the show, we will continue our journey around the 30,000 islands of Georgian Bay.
Welcome aboard the 2020 V50 from Princess Yachts. Now, this English builder has rolled out a bunch of new models over the past few years, including this one, which is intended to be a step up from its popular V40 model, designed to enjoy life above deck and also withstand some nasty British weather. With such a rich naval history, it's no surprise the Brits are still building world-class yachts, and Princesses are some of their finest. Thanks to the Toronto International Boat Show, we were able to take a detailed walk through this brand new boat. But if we use our imagination, maybe we can picture it on the Mediterranean. Hey, there we go. The 2020 V50 is 50 feet 10 inches long with a 13.5-foot beam, with a sleek profile highlighted by its deep V-hull and knife-shaped windows that run the length of the lower deck. Twin Volvo Penta IPS 600s push a total of 880 horsepower and boast a top speed of 32 knots. Twin fuel tanks hold 350 gallons of diesel fuel to let you maximize your time and distance on the water, helped by the lightweight, resin-infused material used in the construction of the hull to optimize time to plane and fuel efficiency. Starting aft, a great big hydraulic platform makes swimming and boarding easy, while an aft storage compartment acts as a lazarette built right into the transom. Access to the sides and foredeck is provided by steps on both sides, but the cockpit can only be entered from the starboard side without having to climb over seating and tables. First thing I noticed on this V50 is the beautiful wood finish everywhere. The teak on the deck out here in the cockpit, this nice teak folding table, and when we go inside, you'll see how cozy it feels with the oak finish all throughout the cabin, the upper deck, the whole boat, really. The craftsmanship throughout this Princess is incredible, thanks to the fact that 80% of the boat is built within Plymouth in the UK. Everywhere you look, from the cabinetry to the upholstery to the fit and finish, there's a sense of quality, artistry, and pride you don't normally associate with a production boat. It feels like this was custom built just for us. The cockpit was clearly designed to encourage a social atmosphere with U-shaped seating around the table and a wet bar complete with barbecue, sink, and ice maker, all tucked into the starboard side. Storage compartments under most seats, including a large one under the forward side, can be used for gear as well. Heavy-duty sliding glass doors will seal you into a homey salon with big windows and a sweeping windshield that allow in plenty of natural light. With the windows down, the salon doors open, and the giant sunroof pulled back, you'll get plenty of airflow, whether cruising or just on the hook. The salon features a huge sofa that wraps around a hydraulic lifting table and faces the entertainment unit. That's where you'll find the TV that hides away into the cabinet with the press of a button, as well as audio controls, a bar fridge, and the elegant Princess-branded glassware. No bolsters needed on the twin helm seat with panoramic views of the bow thanks to the forward-swept windshield. The helm features a built-in Garmin GPS multi-use screen, throttle and joystick controls for those twin Volvo pods, all from right in the action in this great big salon. Electrical controls are situated just beside the helm, above the steps down to the lower deck. To fit such a big entertaining space on the main deck of this 50-footer, Princess has put the galley down below. I know everybody has an opinion about galley up or galley down, but if you take a look above me, it is such a great open concept, especially with the windshield providing the ceiling for this galley, that it really doesn't feel like you're down below. The stovetop sits just above a microwave convection oven combo with a good amount of cabinet storage above and below the sink, and a nice surprise on a 50-footer is a full-height fridge and freezer. More storage tucked in below the stairs is where we find the Princess-branded dishware. The dinette can be used as a space for food prep and consumption, or you could drop the table down, put in a filler cushion, and it becomes an extra berth. The forward guest cabin features a V berth that can be clipped together as a double, or scissored apart for a pair of single beds with drawers below each. A large lit-up hanging locker and access to an ensuite bathroom. First of two en-suites on board, great big walk-in shower, which you get in both of these heads, lovely British fixtures, and an electric toilet in both of them. The full-beam master stateroom is situated aft of the galley and is yet another example of the open feel of this 50-foot yacht. And again, I'm blown away by the space in this V50. There's a small cutout on the floor of this master stateroom just at the foot of this queen berth, and it really does feel like it opens up the master stateroom so much. I've got so much headroom here, plenty of room to walk about on both sides of the berth, and the nice thing is it doesn't feel at all like they've compromised storage space. You've got storage under the bed, you've got a great big dresser to port, and you still have room for the settee on the starboard side, and it all really is lit so well by these giant windows that run the length of the boat. The master bathroom is spacious and bright with a second walk-in shower, electric toilet, and an elegant sink with storage below. Wide walkways with handrails high and low let you get out easily to the spacious foredeck. The anchor locker and windlass are easily accessible, and the two convertible sun-pad loungers may be the best seats in the house when anchored for the afternoon. And that's exactly where you'll find me when my Powerball ticket hits.
While we're docked at Big Sound Marina, let's take a closer look at the interior details of this Jeanneau NC 795. These pocket-sized coupes are popular in Europe due to their absolute protection from the elements. For me, it's nice not to have to mess with leaky canvas or ill-fitting snaps. For a 25-foot boat, this cockpit's pretty big and very versatile. You've got a U-shaped lounge that can seat at least 5 people and plenty of storage under the cushions. Another benefit of outboard power is below-deck storage. Without a stern drive engine under the deck, there is plenty of storage for extra gear. This is also where you'll find the fuel tank for the little diesel heater. While the 795 doesn't have a full beam swim platform, Jeanneau does manage to fit 2 decent-sized platforms to either side of the engine. To have a functional salon on a 25-foot hardtop, you've got to have some versatility, and Jeanneau is a master at that. One example would be this port side bench, which faces forward when underway, but converts to face aft, and now it's a dinette. It also converts into a secondary berth, at which point you would definitely want to make use of the optional side curtains. Now, all this glass could be problematic on a hot summer day, but the side windows both open, as does the sunroof and the back sliding doors, so you can let enough air in to cool the salon down. If it's not quite enough, you can also option air conditioning. Storage everywhere. There is a ton on this boat. Not only under the galley, but in the deck and under the dinette. The helm is nicely appointed with the Yamaha Command Center, a Lowrance Elite TI2, trim tab controls, a Fusion Marine Entertainment System, and a great big stainless cup holder for my Yeti travel mug. Down below, the V-berth is tight but functional and features a tinted glass hatch, open shelves, and storage under the cushions. The stand-up head features a pump-out toilet, sink, and a porthole that opens for venting. This multi-day trip in cooler weather really allowed us to experience the NC 795 in a variety of conditions. On our first day, we encountered winds gusting to 50 kilometers per hour with waves over 1.5 meters. We found shelter from the wind in Collins and Deep Bays, so we had a chance to pick up the speed.
Right now we're at 4,000 RPM doing 21 miles an hour. I would say this is probably a pretty good cruising speed. Engine doesn't need a lot of trim. It's really nice to have a set of Lenco trim tabs, and even on a boat that's only 25 feet long. These ones have the LED indicators, so it's really easy to tell where the tabs are. And because the boat's only 9.2 wide with a single engine, it does kind of lean over on its side a bit depending on which way the wind's coming across the bow. But with the tabs, you can straighten it and flatten it right out anytime you want. Here's a little surprise for you. This little NC 795 with a 250 VMAX SHO on the back is getting 2.1 miles per gallon. And the cool thing is that's at 33 miles an hour at 5,000 RPM. And we've been playing around with it a little bit, and if I slow down to 4,500 RPM, 23, 24 miles an hour, it actually dropped my fuel economy to 1.9, 1.8 miles per gallon. So we're finding our best cruise is right around 33, 5,000 RPM, and we're getting 2.1 miles per gallon. Not bad for a boat that goes 42 miles an hour.
Single-engine boats, especially one with this much windage, can be tricky to dock, but not with a bow thruster. And it doesn't matter if you want to dock bow in or stern in. Just use the engine to control the stern and the thruster to control the bow. This is one must-have option.
Single engine and bow thruster, any day.
If you ask 10 different people about transom savers, it seems like you get 10 different opinions, and some pretty fiery ones. If you want my opinion, this is a heck of a lot cheaper than a new transom or engine bracket. So, if you want to protect your investment, these Atwood shock-absorbing transom savers are a pretty good bet. Today we're installing one on this Miracraft here. The main arm comes in 3 parts with a top tube, bottom tube, and a spring for shock absorption. You also get 2 different brackets, one that fits over a roller and a solid U bracket that bolts on permanently, and a couple of latch pins to hold the pieces together. The first step is to figure out which bracket fits your trailer. Now before you get too far, it is smart to check your engine's manual. A lot of them will say that you don't need a transom saver if you can transport the boat with the motor fully down or using the tilt lock, but a lot of them will actually recommend that you don't trailer at all without something bracing the engine. Most roads into launch ramps aren't exactly Formula One tracks, and some highways are even worse. And transom savers are a lot better at absorbing the bumps and bounces of the road than your tilt lock or your hydraulic trim, especially if they're spring-loaded like Atwood's. Before we assemble the unit for good, we need to measure the distance from the trailer to the engine's lower unit. Easier done if you've already installed the bracket you're using. Trim the engine all the way up, hold the 2 parts of the arm together in place, and lower the engine back down onto the unit. Let the tube slide together until you can see that last little bit of the slot in the inside tube. You want the engine as close to the trailer as possible. About as far as we can go. Slide the bolt in the hole above the one with the slot and tighten it with your fingers. That's where the spring is going to sit when you put the pieces of the unit together. We'll secure that with the latch pin here. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you can attach it to the bracket on your trailer. We used one we already knew fit to save us drilling time. Then lower the engine back down onto the transom saver. Last step, we're gonna lock everything in with this bungee cord here. That's gonna keep it all nice and tight, but it's also gonna stabilize our engine and steering mechanism while we're transporting. And that's it. Consider this transom saved.
Man, was I glad we waited out the weather. the conditions the next morning were absolutely perfect. Located at the very bottom of Bay Street, just past the Stocky Center and the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame, Big Sound Marina is within walking distance to downtown Parry Sound.
We're primarily a transient marina geared to attracting people to come visit Parry Sound and area. And we have 50 amp services on the dock, and we're on town water here, so obviously it's all good, clean water for filling tanks. So it's a great spot for transients to stop by.
Ideal conditions for any boat, but a cool 15 degrees Celsius on the water validated our decision to run this fully enclosed Jeanneau NC 795. We cruised for over an hour between 30 and 40 miles per hour, warm and toasty the entire time. Talk about a boat made for Canada. With the sun shining, we were off to Depot Harbor, a place rumored to be haunted. If you decide to peek around, keep your speed down, one eye on your charts and the other looking out for hatcheries. They are scattered all over the place.
Behind me here, you can see a marine farm. And my understanding is that this farm raises rainbow trout for restaurants all over North America.
This is Depot Harbor, a ghost town in Parry Sound, built on Parry Island at the turn of the 20th century to export lumber and grain to the US and Europe. By the mid-1920s, Depot Harbor was considered one of the most prominent ports on the Great Lakes, with over 1,500 permanent residents and a railway station receiving trains every 20 minutes at its peak. In 1945, most of the harbor facilities were destroyed when remnants of the grain elevator caught fire, setting off cordite stored on site for World War II. More evidence of the scale of this place can be found underwater, where remnants of the original wharfs still remain.
And it's pretty cool to see that what used to be such a busy port is now busy again with a fish hatchery.
After our quick but careful tour of Depot Harbor, we headed towards Deep Bay. Since the weather had become more cooperative, we figured we would take the scenic route and detour through the coveted Hole in the Wall. A small, narrow channel just over 110 feet wide separates the southern tip of Huckleberry from Wall Island. The cliffs on either side rise to almost 80 feet in height, hence the name, Hole in the Wall. To get into Deep Bay, you have to drive up the middle of the Three Fingers on the northwest shore of Parry Sound.
Man, I tell you, it's just spectacular up here. No matter what the wind's doing, it is a dead calm anchorage. These all have road access by the looks of it.
Deep Bay is a bit of an anomaly in that it sits on the doorstep of Georgian Bay, yet its small cottage ecosystem is completely protected from the nasty weather associated with the big lake. This will be our last stop today as we are running out of daylight. Be sure to join us next week as we continue our tour of Parry Sound, showcasing numerous beautiful anchorages and destinations.